Be careful what you wish for might be the subtitle needed for The Promised Neverland second season for many people. Now, I don't really fall too much in the category of a lot of the anger that is aimed towards the second season adaptation of the series, but I do have my misgivings for this series. So, this is my review of The Promised Neverland second season. Before I get into anything, I do want to note that, for one, I have not read the manga, and I don't intend to read the manga at this time. So my perspective is from somebody who has strictly watched the anime adaptation. Though I've had, some small bits of information that I've actually found about, certain arcs that were skipped. Not the actual details of them, but the fact that there was some really good arcs that were skipped. And also, I will not be having any visuals on the screen for this review because obviously the copyright holder, Sony Music Japan, has given my first strike on my channel because I use screenshots in the corner of my screen. But that's that aside. I'm still going to review this based on my feelings of the show itself, not the actual copyright holder, who has obviously not recognized fair use. But that aside, this is my review of the series as a whole. Now, this is going to be coming off of season 1, very, very, very high love and joy. I absolutely loved the first season of The Promised Neverland. I thought the directorial work done on that, the storytelling, the suspense, the intrigue, everything was amazing. I loved it to death. So obviously the second season, I was thrilled. I'm like, okay, great. I'm so excited to see more of this world and what this creator has basically fabricated. And I'm of two minds. One is that I think that expectations was falsely placed. I feel that the show itself, the story itself, did not live up to what I gathered from the first season. I think that's really because there was a shift in almost tone. Whereas the first season, a lot of the emphasis was on the intrigue, it was on the suspense, it was on what is behind the curtain. Unfortunately, with the second season, a lot of that's kind of revealed, and there's nothing really left to be intrigued about. Yeah, there's some small, reveals about the world overall, which I thought were actually really fascinating. But that feeling of cat and mouse game, the feeling of the suspense of being chased by essentially mom. Let's just say it, the first season with mom. It kind of lost that flavor with the second season. It's just, okay, big demons now, run from the demons, and let's reveal the world itself. Not really that game of, like I said, cat and mouse that I loved so much for the first season, and that feeling of unknowns that was present with that season. And that's where I really kind of leave with one of my sides of feelings of the show, is I just don't really feel that the heart that I loved so much from the first season was there with the second season. Now, obviously, the big issue that a lot of people have is that they went anime original with the second season, and a lot of that has to do with the idea of trying to get it to be completed with the 11 episodes that they were given with this season. So, essentially taking what was probably many, many story arcs of the manga and trying to condense it to finish out within 11 episodes, which I think is you can probably argue, and I'm sure many of the people that know the source material would argue, is an impossible task. But my other side is I feel if that was their goal, they accomplished it. It does feel like a complete story to wrap things up. I didn't feel, as a person that does not know the source material, I didn't feel like I missed anything really. Now, granted, there was a point, and it was about the point in which they had the show go anime original, which I think was 6 or 7. It felt like we rushed forward. Obviously, there was a little bit of a time skip. But again, unless I was told that it was the point in which it went an anime original, I would just assume that we had a little time jump and they were just running the whole time and hiding and working out their craft. So I think as a person that has only watched the source material or the adaptation, I didn't lose much there. I just feel like the story as a whole just lost its heart. And maybe that's due to it being, anime original, and maybe the heart is in the manga somewhere, but I'm not looking at that. I'm reviewing this show. Now, like I said, that I did enjoy a lot of the aspects of this season, getting into the demons, seeing the demon world itself, seeing what they kind of unraveled was intriguing to me. I did enjoy seeing those bits, getting the idea of the world overall, Mujika, Sanju, all that stuff was actually fascinating. But I think as 11 episodes, I my struggle is that that's only like here, and we had all of this, and I didn't feel like much of that was really all that great. I would say there was probably a good solid 3 good episodes out of that 11 episodes. The rest of it just felt like it just nothing really happened. It was just them kind of moving, them hiding. There wasn't, like I said, suspense. There was not thrill. There was nothing really there that, I mean, they're in the belly of the beast basically. And I didn't feel suspense. I didn't feel fear for them. I didn't feel what's going to be around the corner, what will be revealed next. I just felt like they're there. And that's where I think the storytelling overall really did fail. And that's where my frustration is. It isn't around what the source material had, what they messed up. It's just that's what they portrayed, and I didn't get much out of it, is really the thing that comes in the end. My other frustration really does come, and I'll get into something else later, but I want to kind of put it behind a soft spoiler for those that want to go in completely clean with what they know about the show. The ending, like I said, the last few episodes I did really enjoy. And that was mainly because everything started really ramping up, and we were getting into how can they resolve this issue? How can they... You have a really huge issue in front of you. How do you solve that? And I think, like I said, I think it was good. And I did enjoy getting into all that stuff. And I loved the kind of twist that they had towards the later part with one of the characters. And you'll know if you've watched it. And that's all I'm going to say. I did not like how it ended, like the end itself. Now, granted, I do always enjoy whenever a show does, or a story does, a kind of an after story feel like, well, this is kind of a little bit of glimpse about where people are at after things are done. And it was literally just a slideshow. And I was so disappointed in that because let's just say you're given a possible outcome that things can get to. And obviously, when that outcome possibly happens, you're going to need to show it. You're going to need to. You're wondering as a viewer and the reader and the storyteller partaker. There's got to be this one moment, and I'm really curious what people would say at this one moment that this thing finally happens that you've been driving to, and it's a slideshow. It's a literal slideshow. I felt so disappointed. Like, I just wanted just that brief beginning of that to know what they said. And instead, I get a slideshow. I was actually very, very disappointed at that point. Like, this is what I've been waiting for. This is what I would imagine everybody's waiting for. And rather than give us it, you give us a slideshow. I was really annoyed and agitated. And then there's bits of it that didn't really make much sense. There's just so much left that they could have gotten into that they didn't. There was so much unraveling and so much conclusions that they're getting to technically. But all we're doing is basically deriving what happens from a slideshow. And that's the huge disappointment for me. I don't know. I honestly don't know what was going through their head when they decided to do that, and I'm pretty sure it's probably similar in the source material. I don't know. It doesn't really matter, but yeah, like I said, this season as a way of concluding the story itself, I don't think is bad. I think it's a solid way to kind of unravel everything. Granted, like I said, I'm very disappointed in certain regards of what was done in order to portray it, but it as a whole is a way of concluding the story. But I'm also of the mind that I wish I could tell my 3 months ago person self, just enjoy your first season and just be done with it. Don't even bother getting into the second season, just because I didn't get what I fell in love with in the first season. That feeling, that sense, that dread, that all that other stuff. That's my thoughts. If you wanted my thoughts on the review of it, that's my thoughts. I just want to go over one more thing, and it is technically slight spoilers. So keep that in mind as I go into the next part. If you want to go completely fresh, just not listen to this part, and I thank you for watching. But my kind of soft spoiler thing is there's a returning character from the first season, which you kind of assume is going to come back, and that's why I'm putting it in slight spoilers. You kind of assume that character is going to come back. This is a character that I absolutely loved. I think it is one of the best villains in anime history. And of everything that I'm disappointed with this series, that is the one thing in this entire thing that I think brought it back up. Like, because not that I don't want to get an argument whether I believe it was logical or not, but I thought that character was fantastic. And now that character is even more amazing because of the expectations for that character always subvert expectations. It's a character that constantly makes you question. It's a character that you understand. Not that you condone, but you understand. And they took that character to another level, and I had a huge smile on my face because of how great they played out that character. Like that, the writer, at least for this character, did a phenomenal job. And I just want to express that. That is the one thing I do want to get across with all of my misgivings, with all the feelings that I've lost from the series. That is the one thing that kind of retained its feel from the first season into the second season. And I think that character, and I was really dreading it. I'm like, what are they going to do with this character? They brought this character back. What are they going to do with this character? And they knocked it out of the park. So that's all I wanted to say with that. But that's my thoughts overall of my review of The Promised Neverland. Like I said, it does a good job of completing the story. It just lost a lot of the heart from the first season. Really did not like the slideshow ending, but it is what it is. Still good, fantastic music and really good visual art style and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed my review of The Promised Neverland second season. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. And if you did, please leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already. And y'all take care.